recording button.
no, it is recording. So no,
It's
it says
automatically
recording.
right?
So I think so. Yes.
Yeah, it's already recording to me.
Yes, yes.
Looks like.
Okay, it is recording. Great. Then the other thing I need to make sure is if I can share this share slides. Let me check that out. So I'm opening the PDF. How did that work? Publish screen. Yeah, so that's the question. How can I publish my second screen? Does anybody know with Meet Echo? Essentially, I only want to publish my MacBook screen and not my big screen, but I don't know if I can do that with Meet Echo.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll try.
So good thing we upload the slides. Therefore, we just basically watch yours, right?
Yeah. So essentially, everybody should have the slides, but I do want to share them. Let's see what I'm sharing. Okay. It gives me the opportunity. Okay. I want to share screen 2. Okay, great. Oh, that looks good. There's Google. You should see my my browser now, right, with the recharger text.
Right.
Okay. So, do you see my slides now?
Yeah, I can see.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. Great. That seems to work. So I guess we can get started. Everybody's here. So our art director is here. Quinn, our new chair, is here. Vijay might not make it. I say something to that in a minute. So I guess, yeah, it's time. We should start. Welcome to the Alto working group at IETF 109. My name is Jan Sedov. I'm co-chairing this working group together with our new chair, Quinn Ryu, who is here, and also with Vijay Gubani, who might not be here. Vijay might not make it for personal reasons. I'm not sure. Maybe he can drop in. Quinn and I discussed with him that we are going to take care of business today, so that should not be a problem. Okay, regarding business.
I'm sorry, Jan, just to avoid further embarrassment, because I've been saying it differently. Is it Chin or Quinn?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, this is Chin. Yeah, it's hard to pronounce, actually.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right. Great.
Yeah.
Well, so we're all meeting each other, so it's fine. Like it would be embarrassing if this went on for 6 months. So I thought I'd nip it in the bud. Okay, carry on.
Martin, good that you brought that up. We've been mailing a lot, but we've not been talking in person so far. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to get to that also in a minute. So note well, I think everybody's aware of that. This is the IETF general rule set, which basically says if you are aware of any IPR or if you're aware of other important things, you need to mention that. We are here under full transparency in the IETF. So if you're not aware of this, please read the RFCs that I mentioned here. This is a general rule set that applies, which basically means, yeah, we are fully transparent, and you need to mention any kind of related IPR information or other things you know. Right. So, yeah, we have a new chair. You want to introduce yourself briefly?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks, Ian, for kind of introduction. Actually, for people who don't know who I am, actually, my name is Qing Wu, and I work for Huawei, and most looking into the enterprise network and network management related technology. So I used to chair L3 SM, L2 SM in the ops area. I'm currently one member in the ops directorate. And actually, Alto is not new to me. And 6 or 7 years ago, actually, I get engaged into the Alto, and now I come again. Actually, very excited to join this Alto team again. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome. As I said, Chin, welcome here. We are happy to have you on board, and I think you're doing great. You already wrote lots of emails in the past days, clarifying many things, preparing the session. So great. before we go on, we need a JavaScript and a note taker. Do we have that? I saw some emails. Vijay sent some emails, and I think Chin, you also sent some. Do we have a note taker?
So, okay, Jan, can you hear me? I'll volunteer as one of the note takers. We're going to use like Cody MD. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Actually,
Yeah,
I sent a link. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. I think Chow probably can also help with, and but of course depends on him.
There's actually a button in the upper right corner of MeetEcho for the note-taking tool, and that can get you directly to the Cody MD as well.
People say I'm taking a note like test. Right? Did I do it right for this new tool? I used to only write.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. Hear me? I also can say I'm taking notes in the right way. Is that right?
Let me check.
Yeah, you're right. So Richard, you actually get
I'm seeing your test stuff there.
Great,
yeah,
cool.
we can see you.
Cool. Then I'm here.
Okay, great. Can we have another note taker, a second one, just in case? We always have two. I think everybody knows.
Also,
Any volunteers?
hello.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Xiao. I will be the second note taker.
Fantastic, great. So the other thing we officially need is a JavaScript. I don't know if it's really necessary because we also have now MeetEcho. I mean, Java is for me the tool the ITF used to use a lot when we were, at actual physical meetings, and we didn't use MeetEcho. Now we have MeetEcho, and everything is being recorded. So the main reason for the JavaScript for me is if somebody is. Yeah, so actually, I don't know if the possibility would be that somebody is logged in and he cannot post in the chat here in MeetEcho and he needs to use Java.
So no, wait. So Jan, the chat in MeetEcho is Jabber, and so
Okay.
the purpose of having a JabberScribe is if the chairs do not feel equipped to monitor the Jabber at the same time as chairing the meeting. So the purpose of the JabberScribe is to mention important stuff in Jabber because no one else is going to.
Okay, I was going to say the main reason is to so if somebody raises a hand in the chat that we don't miss it. So I was going to ask Chin, can you have a look at the chat?
Yeah. Yeah, I have already logged into the Alto Jabber. Haven't seen anybody. So I can forward any Jabber discussion.
I'm in there. Can you not see me in it?
Oh, let me check. Actually, I haven't logged in.
Okay,
my chat is busted.
No,
I'm gonna have to refresh.
Okay.
I think that's clarified as well.
Wonderful.
Okay, great. I think we have the logistics set up. This meeting is being recorded. I notified everybody about the note well. I introduced our new chair. We have note takers. We clarified the JavaScript thing. So yeah, let's talk about our working group. What's going on? So I think everybody is fully aware that we have two big topics, and that's what this slide basically says. Well, on the one side, we want to finalize our charter items, and we're making good progress. I'll talk about that on the next slides. And assuming that we make even better progress, we are in the midst of discussing a recharter. So the reason for the recharter discussion is obvious. Once we finalize the current milestones, normally there are only two options. Either the working group is finished and ends, or there's lots of interesting stuff that still needs to be done, and we need to recharter then. And my impression is clearly that we have a lot of energy. We have lots of people with good ideas. And we had a recharter discussion already last time. And in the meantime, the people who are working hard on this have really putting a lot of effort to focus this discussion. So I think we're going to have a good recharter discussion today. And that's what we want to focus most of our time. If you look at the next slide, oops, sorry. So the agenda has been set up accordingly. So I will present the chair slides. So in the next few slides, I will talk little bit about the current milestone and their current status, what's going on. We've had lots of working class calls, and we've had lots of revisions lately. So we're going to talk about that. And after that, we're going to have a recharter discussion where we have some presentations that people are going to show quickly to highlight the current charter items that are on this recharter discussion. And also Richard posted a link on the mailing list that I want to highlight with the current recharter proposed text. It's work in progress text, so but people can have a look at it, and we're going to discuss that. So regarding our general progress, the last meeting was ITF 108. It was a virtual ITF meeting, just as this one is, during the due to the Corona crisis. I think everybody is fully aware of that. We have published 2 RFCs since our last gathering together, which is great. So we have the cost calendar published as RFC 8896, and we have incremental updates using SSE published as RFC 8895. So congratulations to the authors, and I think that's a big step forward for us. 2 important work items and milestones that we had. So yeah, we're making good progress, and we have 4 remaining milestones now, and I'll talk about each of them on the next slides. You can see them here. It's the CDNI work, the path vector, performance metrics, and unified properties documents. Regarding Alto CDNI request routing, this is the one that has been done or finished, I think, for the longest time. Actually, we finished the working class call in the 09 version. There have been no objections. We had quite a lot of comments. We have addressed them all. I'm saying we because I'm a co-author of this document. Speaking as chair now, the current version 014, and I think, the current version 014 is ready to go. The only reason why we're not moving forward with it right now is that we agreed that we want to move it as a bundle with the unified properties document, because it kind of relates to that, and we want to make sure that these 2 get published together. So basically it's ready, and we are just holding it, and we chairs already started with the Shepherd write-up. So Vijay is the Shepherd for this document because I'm a co-author, but I've been exchanging emails with him, and he's already making progress on that. So the Shepherd write-up is actually almost ready. So yeah, essentially this is done. We're just waiting for unified properties to move ahead. Chin, you made a good comment in an email. I think it was not in the mailing list, but sent privately to me or the authors, that we need to make sure that unified properties is then also a normative reference in this document. That's a good comment. Maybe you can resend it that we don't forget it. I guess that's a case that also RFC editor will notice. So in the Shepherd writer, we usually make sure that there are no non-normative references in the normative references section. If it's the other way around, that we reference a current draft that will go as a bundle and will also be published as an RFC, I think RFC editor will take care of that. But Martin is also more the expert here, but I think it will not be an issue. I don't think there's a way that RFC editor would oversee this. Yeah.
So as you mentioned, actually, can you go back to?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said, as you mentioned already, send a private email to you, and I will, post my comments to the list to remind the sitting I draft author to make update. Actually, so main comments actually is suggested to move unified property from informative reference to the normative reference. Yeah.
Correct. Yes, and that's a good comment, and we need to take care of that. But the problem always is once we set it out to RFC editor, the unified properties will not be an RFC yet either. So we have to make sure that RFC editor notices it. But I think it's a common thing that 2 RFCs get published together, and you need to make sure there are normative references. And yeah, we'll take care of that. Okay, regarding path vector, so we had a working class call since last ITF on the 011 version, and on the version 11, and we had 2 individual reviews. Thanks to Danny and Lewis for working hard and giving good comments. So Vijay has been shepherding this document, and he's not here. So I want to make sure that we have addressed all comments and what the status is. Can the authors please confirm? I mean, what is my assumption is that in the in the version 12 you have addressed all comments. Is that the case?
I think Kai is trying to give a comment, right? And also,
I think so too. He's trying to speak, but I think he's muted. I don't, or Kai?
Hello.
Yeah, Kai, you should unmute your audio.
send, click like a. Oh, couldn't figure out.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, but there is a very low voice.
Okay, I just try to speak louder.
It's very
I
quiet.
think we have addressed all the comments in the latest revision, but after the submission, Richard also proposed some new changes. So we might.
Kai, can you speak close to the mic?
Yeah, get close to your mic.
So is it better now?
A little bit better, but still very far from.
Latest revision, but after the submission, Richard also gave some other comments. So we might just basically he also proposed some changes to address some comments. So we might accommodate the changes after basically after the new submission window is open, and then we will submit.
Right. So, by the way, Kai, you probably want to try to figure out how you handle a microphone. I think Kai probably one of very few people who uses Linux, and oftentimes you have all kinds of issues and so on. So, can you, because otherwise you present later, I don't know how I'm gonna hear you.
Yeah. How about right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Oh, okay. I just.
Cool. Yeah. So basically, let me clarify. And I think the small issue is the following. There is very good comments from Luis from the last review, and I think Kai addresses the reviews, and I also address the reviews. There's some like overlapping part, so therefore we address slightly differently and so on. So I think we need to Kai and I need to go over basically the revision and merge all revision in the final version. I think that's all, right? I think that's the one. So basically, just make sure both of our revisions will be merged into a single coherent one. So we took a slightly different way to address Luis. Well, I think I checked my answers with Luis. I believe replied. I think Luis said he was okay with my comments. I think Kai. I think there are also some comments very nice by revision by Kai, very nice. We just need to very quickly, probably write up APF, maybe take a couple of days, we'll finalize it. But they are non-technical. Mostly they are a wording issue, not like essential.
Okay, thanks, Richard. That would have been my question. So I'm also under the assumption that there are no technical issues that we need to discuss right here now, and there are also no. This also implies that there does not need to be another working group last call. So basically, it's editorial things that you as authors need to sort out. Okay, so great. So then please do that as soon as you can. So we are taking notes.
Oh, by the way, Yang, I think one of the review is provided by Chao, not Danny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then maybe that's a cut and paste error on the slides where I did them.
Probably.
That is possible. I'm sorry. That can very well be. So actually the reason why this error on my side happened is that there has been lots of traffic on the mailing list lately, and that's a good thing. So we've had many working glass calls. So maybe that's a cut and paste error. I apologize. Yeah. So but to wrap this up, so we are also Vijay and I have already started the Shepherd write-up. And so we are good to go here. So basically, my assumption is the working class call is over. No objections are there, and you have already started addressing all the comments in the 12th version. But you need to do another round. So please do it as quickly as you can. But there are no technical issues that we need to discuss here that have been raised, and also that means there does not need to be another working class call. Okay, great.
So yeah, for path
Yes.
vector, actually, I did have a quicker review to this draft. I think this path vector is very important worker in the Alto working group because the original base Alto protocol is designed for the peer selection. Now we actually move toward to the path selection. So path vector is a foundation work for this. So it's very important delivery work. But I have additional comments because I did read the abstract. I think it would be desirable to split it into several paragraphs. I can send my proposal to the lister to help the author to maybe also can take a look at that. We can to try to make abstract more clear, more short. That would be great.
Of course, yes. Yeah.
In addition, I'm just wondering, what for the next step? Do you think it will be good to cross post to some other working group like a PC, or we need to ask some directorate like a routine director to give a quick review, or this is or the next step since after working group last call?
My assumption is this is after working group last call. So my assumption is we move it out of the Alto working group because we have a consensus here and we have agreed on it. And the process is pretty clear in the IETF. All IESG members will review the document. So that's the normal process we have, and I think it works as well here. Martin, you want to add something?
Yeah, so you can always request cross-area review. It's actually just the button in Data Tracker. If you want ops or whoever to look at it, you just ask and it goes into their queue. So you don't have to wait for. I mean, you could do it on, like on a 0-0 draft if you want. It's totally. You don't have to wait till after working group last call. Or
right. Yeah, I understand, but I guess the point here is since we are really close to being done with this one, do we want to have this cross-directory review triggered manually now by us, or do we just push it out of the working group because it's going to happen then anyway during the IESG review, right? So
when first we have IETF last call, which is actually the best opportunity to get good cross-area review. It is true that IESG is also a cross-area review, but it's a different person. So if you want like the right ops person to look at it, I would suggest that in last call you request an ops area review. They might just do it on their own anyway, but you can request.
Okay. Well, then let's clarify. Then please, for the note takers also, let's take a note that we do this, and we will. So I think Chin, this also asks your question, answers your comment or your proposal. Then we will request it during IETF last call. Great.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so again, authors of Path Vector, please finalize this as soon as you can so that we can really get this done before we recharter. That would be great. Performance metrics. So this one, I would like to get some feedback from the authors. So I had a close look. We had a working class call on the 12th version. There have been no objections, which is great, but we had 3 individual reviewers. Thanks to Kai, Danny, and Jensen. I think this time the reviewers are correct that I wrote here. Yeah, my understanding is that the authors are still working on revising the document. So as far as I saw on the mailing list, but also on the data track, a new version has not been posted yet. I also had a look preparing the Shepherd writer when I found some normative references issues that you should fix. I posted it on the mailing list as well, so please have a look. Richard, yes.
Right, that's right. So basically, we're addressing some of the comments, and I think we missed because address the reviews, and basically, I took some responsibility in the sense that I think I missed the review from. I found out there were reviews by Jensen. 2 or 3 weeks ago during the weekly meeting, and I realized I was missing some emails from Jensen to the Alto mailing list. So therefore, I started to really address it. Then I missed we missed the deadline of the update. So we did not want to read for example, upload right away during IETF week, but we will finish all the reviews. We don't see any technical comments. I believe they are mostly clarification issues. And of course, the nominative issue will address. And so give us basically 1 week after IETF, and we will upload the final version, and then you can do the write-up.
Great. So thanks, Richard, for that summary. This is exactly what I was hoping for. And it's good that you also pointed out there are no technical issues. That's also my understanding. So basically, there's many editorial comments that you just need to work out. And great, yeah, please, if you can do it as soon as you can, that would be great. I've already prepared a Shepherd write-up, so it's almost done. And then we just need to, I need to just ask the IPR question to all authors, and then we are pretty much done with this one. Great, okay. So moving to unified properties. We had a working class call in the 12th version. We had 2 individual reviewers. Sabine, you want to say something? No. Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So while I was activating my mic, I lost your questions. You were asking whether I want to comment?
Yes, because your name was highlighted in green in the tool. I don't know if you wanted to, if you spoke up, but maybe you were just setting up your tool, your microphone.
No. Just want to answer to your question. So, all the comments have been addressed. We posted the version 14 a couple of days ago because there were a couple of pending comments from Louis. So thank you to Louis and Danny for the review. What misses is just the one table that summarizes, that is listing all the new features that are introduced, and we want to put this in the beginning of the document. And so with Jensen, we have prepared the list and just the references to the text sections, and we will inject it like tomorrow or let's say Monday. So this is, we just need to make the edits.
Okay. Thank you also here for the good summary. And again, my understanding is that these are non-technical issues that we need to discuss here. It's editorial issues. So yeah, please, as soon as you can, do this. But my understanding is also this one is done. You just you published a new version with the last outstanding editorial issues. I saw some emails also on the mailing list regarding this table. I think BJ gave some comments. And Vijay already posted a Shepherd write-up, so he has it ready. So yeah, we are also very good to go here. Yeah, so in summary, I think all the remaining milestones, we are really, really close now to being done. We have finished working class call on all of these. For none of these, we need, yes.
But I see Martin in the queue. Martin, do you have anything to say?
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you, Martin.
Just first of all, thank you for this report on how it's going. And could I ask the chairs to update the stated data tracker correctly for all these documents? It's kind of I usually remind myself where things are, and I'm going to reach for that much sooner than I reach for my notes from this meeting. Thank you.
Yes, Chin also noticed this. Thank you very much for that comment. We need to do that. I'll take a note.
So yeah, actually I have additional comments for this draft. I also think this draft, more mature enough. Actually, it's a reusing component. Actually, can be used by the CDNI and also path vector. So, but my suggestion, maybe we should align with path vector draft, because for the title, for unified property, what is a unified? So I know this. Unified property really, extend the endpoint property, try to generalize this endpoint property, but the naming may be, not very clear. Maybe, just, use a similar title as a path vector, actually. That will be more easy understood.
I have personally no problem with it, but I guess it's a question also to the authors or to the working group if we want to change the title.
Maybe change the title to the property map. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. Sabine, do you want to comment? Or any of the authors? Do you have any yeah, any feedback?
Yeah, hello. So we did have a discussions about the title for this document, and so well, we can resume the discussion if this is something really that brings like if the title lacks clarity, we can reconsider it, and
Okay.
we'll have a discussion with Richard. And
Yeah,
Jensen.
maybe include also Jin in this discussion because he thought
Yeah,
about it a
definitely.
lot. So yeah.
So I will post my comments to the list. So Sabine, you can respond, and we can resolve on the list as soon as possible.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Exactly. Clarified on the list. I have no objections, and I guess it's also a very good comment. If the title is clearer, that's good. But of course, the authors need to be involved. Let's have the discussion on the mailing list. Okay. But also that is for me. It's not. It's of course it's a non-technical issue, so it doesn't. Well, it's still in line with what I said before, that we are done with all the remaining milestones. We are done with working class call, and we are really close to publishing these. And we will update the status on the data tracker. I took a note. Yeah, so that's good, and we are actually perfectly in time. We said it's going to take half an hour, and it exactly took half an hour. So the question is, I would now move to the recharter discussion, but before we do that, the question is there any other business, anything and that we forgot to mention, to address?
So yeah, I don't know if I should make this comment or not. I think we really should have a party or whatever to thank you and VG for being a wonderful chair.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. I know that other working groups do this kind of thing, where if we would have physical ITF meetings, for sure we would go for a drink. Yes. Now we will have virtual drinks.
Right.
Yeah. I guess thank you very much. I think it's a good idea. If we will have a physical meeting soon again, we should maybe have a get together. That's a good idea, I think.
Right, right. Because the reason I want to add this one is, given that and Yang and VG, I don't know who might need to, and for example, switch a little bit. And because I really want to say that I think both VG and Yang are just wonderful chairs to organize this. For example, just look at we organize all these working group documents and great leadership. In particular, for example, as a good example, lately we were writing this recharter text, and we read the current version, and just incredible clear direction about what charters would be. And then, of course, always very steady and very well organized, just wonderful. I think we really, as a working group, we probably should set this one up as some kind of informal business to appreciate.
Thank you very much. No, thank you very much. It's yeah, I appreciate it, and I will also. I think Vijay does too. I will talk with them about it. Thanks a lot, and I will take a reminder if we have a physical meeting soon. Who knows? With the vaccinations coming out, maybe already we're gonna have an ITF meeting sooner than we think again in actual at an actual location. We can celebrate for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think Richard speaking my words. I think yeah. I think yeah, we have fantastic team actually. We have very experienced chair, and without you we cannot get so far. So if we can have the face-to-face meeting, actually we can have beer to celebrate.
Yeah. Yeah, let's discuss it on the mailing list. We should have. Why don't we do this? Once the remaining 4 milestones have been published, also as RFCs, we're gonna set up a celebration meeting. That's a good point. Yes.
Should I put it on? Should I put it on the note taker?
I was going to say, put it in the notes. Yes, put it in the notes. Why not? Oh, that's good. I mean, it was actually quite some work. I mean, most of course by the authors, but also sharing is work. And yeah, it's a good milestone. It's a big milestone if we have finished this work. And it looks like we're gonna get there really, really soon. So yeah, take a note. We can set up a special call to celebrate. That's a good point. Yeah.
It's in the note taker. It's in the note official business. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Martin knows more than I. But regarding upcoming ITF meetings, I think the official schedule is ITF March will still be virtual, but ITF July next summer is officially scheduled to be taking place in San Francisco. Who knows?
I doubt. I'm the chair of SOSR and all these conferences, and most of our conferences, even we were clarified very clearly by STACOM and so on. All this conference until September would be virtual.
September next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably that's realistic. I guess that's realistic. Anyway. Summer is maybe I'm too hopeful for summer already. Yes. Okay, but let's get to the recharter discussion. Thank you, Richard, for this comment. I appreciate it. Let's get to the recharter discussion. So, yeah, how are we going to do this? You guys uploaded slides. Do we want to go through the items and then briefly present 5 minutes your slides and then have a discussion on each item? I guess that's how we're going to do this, right?
Yeah, I think yeah, as we discussed offline, maybe yeah, we need to just focus on the charter, text proposal text, and if we have any detail, we need to get a detailed discussion. We can run the slides. I think yeah. So Richard, so we'll open your Google Doc and to discuss proposal one by one, because in the offline discussion in the design team meeting, we actually set the order for the proposed charter text.
Right.
So,
I think you set up this order like overview. I think you give a very quick for other people who did not attend the meeting, like every Tuesday nowadays, and I think probably basically last Tuesday, which is like 1 or 2 days ago, and I think we did agree on that. Order would be Qing would give the overview, and then each one of the champion would give a. I think we talk about. I think Qing and Yang, you give us like 10 minutes to go over our some details and then post the paragraph text. Is that right? And of course, those are only the text. Of course, they're like beginning and those would not be discussed because they're shared. So we essentially the champion would go over the individual 5 paragraphs. I believe that was the instruction you guys gave.
Yes.
Correct. That's how we will try this. So just for everybody to be clear, I just shared now this proposed charter text, or the current text on the table. Richard has also posted this link on the mailing list. So everybody, you should be able to access this Google Docs text that I'm sharing here yourself. So the link has been posted on the mailing list. Yeah, Shin, go ahead. Do you want to share slides? You should be able to share
maybe you can switch to my screen and I can discuss.
Yeah. So I will stop sharing slides and then you can go ahead.
Okay.
Now it's still showing my screen. Why is it stop?
So
okay, now.
Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we discussed, actually, we want to set an order for these several topics. Yeah, I haven't followed the previous discussion. We have 15 proposals. Now we, converge actually have 5 proposals. I think we make a lot of progress, and so the reason to set this order, we think, based on the maturity of each proposal and also based on the dependency of this proposal, so we set this order. The first proposal is cellular network exposure proposed by Chun-San Xiong and from Tencent and Gang Li from China Mobile. And I think, foundation for this cellular network exposure is 3GPP worker. They focus on to define network exposure function architecture and the requirements and related API. So this will provide a foundation for this cellular network exposure. And the second proposal is about the general extension, which is proposed by the Saibin from Nokia. And I think this is, as Louis mentioned, this is, optimization to the existing protocol. We already have, path vector draft, which help you to do the path selection, and we may need additional pieces to help you to optimize this path selection, and so we'll ask Sabin to introduce his proposal, and another one is about a new transport. For base auto protocol, it originally designed for the P2P application, CDN application, and built on top of the HTTP 1. Now we have HTTP 2 and HTTP 3, and also we have Quick. So how we can migrate from HTTP 1 to HTTP 2 and 3? So this is something we can discuss. And the fourth proposal is multi-domain support. We already, for auto, they can do the peer selection, path selection, mostly focus on single domain, but how to extend to the multi-domain. So this is something we should discuss. It may require the server-to-server communication. The last one is operation automation, and we already, publish auto deployment jobs, and as auto deployment jobs said, actually we can, gather different data source and feed it into the auto server and do the aggregation, abstraction, how to, automate this auto server operation management automatically. So this is still very challenging. So we'll ask Luis and Jason to discuss this, and so we set this order, and so that's all. And any objection to this order? Any comments? Seems no, so we can move to first presentation.
Question by Martin, I believe. He raised hand.
So
okay.
So I want to be clear. So you have 5 proposals, and you are not proposing that all 5 of them go in the charter. We're supposed to select some number of.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I think we hope actually we can pick 2 or 3 proposals from all of the 5, and we can have a good start. And we will not promise we'll accept all these proposals. So based on our discussion, our consensus, we will decide which 2 or 3 can be put into the charter.
Okay, I did have one question. You said something in cellular about 3GPP, and is 3GPP asking us to do any work in this area, or does it just happen to coincide with? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is just my question. So I will ask Chun-San Xiong and Gang Li to clarify this, because I also raised the same question on the list, haven't get response. And my feeling, my expression is they, define the NEF network exposure function architecture and requirements. They could provide foundation to provide a good data source to the auto server. And so Chen Shan can present later in his called the first hop proposal, and we can discuss this.
Thank you.
Yeah, good clarification, Martin. But also from my perspective, regarding selecting a few of these, we could also think about prioritizing them regarding on the feedback we are having during the discussions today, right? So I don't think we need today trim down to a subset of this 5, but if we can also say this one got better feedback or seems to be more important, that's also a good progress or a good outcome. But yeah, thanks for the clarification, guys. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so let's move to the presentation. Actually, we already assigned each topic to the champion owner. And so, Chun San Xiong, are you there? Do you want to present your topic?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, can you make the text more larger? It's more smaller. Okay, I can read it. I can read it. Yeah. The main target of the paragraph.
Sorry to interrupt. So I think Tim probably won't share his slides, right? I believe he uploaded his slides. I believe this one is old, right? The paragraph here is old, and there's a newer version of.
Old version, yeah.
Okay, let me check his latest proposal.
Yeah, the slides. I think he uploaded slides.
Yeah. The uploaded slides, not the slide I sent to you. The uploaded slides.
Okay, this one, right?
We don't see your screen changes.
Okay, let me refresh my screen. So I'm new here, so sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Tim, this is something you have to get used to in this Alto working group. People send slides really close to the meeting all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Alto working group.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Perfect. Yes.
No,
okay.
Not this one. This also the yeah, this one. Can you go next?
Okay.
Can you? Yeah, this one. The purpose that we want to extension of Alto to provide cellular network information to the applications, because more and more applications are moved from the fixed IP network to the mobile network, and a lot of mobile devices are used by the people. And Tencent have used this cellular level information has demonstrated that we can leverage the information from the cellular network, such that from the base station status and the link status between the UE with the base station can improve the application performance, such as by dynamically changing the bit rate to according to the link status of the radio state radio. So the work will investigation extension of the basic Alto information service to expose to the mobile clients or mobile application in the cloud about cellular information or the link states between the UE and the base station. For example, the information most only throughput, delay, or the latency or the jitter. Yeah, this is the input from the Alto, but the Alto also need a clarification. The general base station information like CQI, this information is more CPP related, so I do not explain it. The attention should be clearly address the dynamic issue, because the cellular link status like the throughput, delay, and jitter will be changed very quickly, and we need to provide real-time information. And Also, we should consideration the issue whether this information is private or have included private data. So we also connect security issue include the authentication, authentication, confidentiality about UE, the user and the level information. So the work will firstly define clearly its scope, empirically regarding its coordination with the 3PP, how to leverage the 3PP network employee function. That's the proposal. That's all.
So
Martin.
any comments?
Martin is in the queue.
Thanks for proposing
Okay.
this. So what exactly is the use case here that a handset will choose to use the cellular network or some alternative link based on this information?
From my understanding, normally cellular, because cellular have more and more CPU power, and they have a smart enough to dynamically to detect the link status. Maybe it's less important for the cellular device, but for the cloud gaming server, because he's located in the cloud, he has no information for the video link status, so he needs some the dynamic information of the link status. In such case, normally I said that for the physical network, the bandwidth and the jitter on the delay is some static, not changed very quickly, but cellular network is changed very quickly. In such case, if we can provide this information to the cloud game server or ASR/VR server, they can dynamically change the bit rate to the user. In such case, there's no lagging or lagging and interruption of the service, and have a good UE quality, because the user are very alloyed for the lagging.
Okay. Thanks. That clarifies that. So I'm glad you put in language about the dynamicity issues, because I think that is really my chief concern about this work. You guys understand Alto better than me, but these things are not usually scaled to be delivering real time information at this granularity. Like, are we confident this is actually workable, or are we just going to end up finding out that the frequency issues are unsurmountable?
So maybe before we get an answer, this is Janis Claire. I want to second what Martin said. I was also happy to see the word dynamicity in there, because this is the discussions we had from the start in the Alto working group. And the original charter from 2008, it was clear, it had some phrasing in it that said things that change on the order of once per day should be conveyed via Alto. We are moving ahead, so also the current performance metrics document has metrics that change more often than once a day. So that's okay. But yeah, in this case, things may, so jitter in a mobile network might change quite often. But so I'm fine, because the word dynamicity is explicitly in here. But I guess the question for Martin is a valid one. Are there some metrics that don't change that often that can be conveyed from base station to mobile application, right? That's the question, I guess.
Well,
Yeah,
so I mean, so the word is in there, and that's great. And like, I would stomp my foot if it weren't in there. But at the same time, I don't want to. I would rather not bring in a research project if we're not sure this is viable. And I don't know if it's viable. I'm asking, like, has someone worked through the problem of like, does the Alto client need to ask every 100 milliseconds to find out if something has changed, or is there a push system, and like, how noisy is that given real cellular dynamics?
Right. So, Marky, I don't know if I can jump and answer a little bit because I was involved a little bit. And of course, probably the other good person to get involved would be Gang Li from China Mobile. And there was this like a SICOM NI paper called the MOE paper, actually reported the results. And so the evaluation of I think it was a large scale quote unquote large scale deployment of this information in the China Mobile network, I think in Zhejiang province, is that right? And so I believe they can push to about like if the information changes about the collect information about 1 minute, is that right? To 5 minutes per update, and it could get good performance. And also the overhead here also is overhead. Actually, information is not really sent through the cellular network. Actually, the information is collected at base station, but using backhaul to directly send it to the servers. So therefore, you're not consuming the information in the cellular channel. Basically, information collected. Of course, information collected will be about the cellular network, but the channel to give the information pushed to the server would not really go through the cellular. Actually, would go through the backhaul, and therefore you don't have the bandwidth constant over there. So that's why essentially called split channel, split architecture. And there was this demo, I believe, very good performance. But I guess Gang Li was the guy really physical running the demo. So probably I should yield to him.
That answers my question. Thank you. But I'm interested to see what Gang says as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll sit down.
Okay.
So I also want to make some clarification. I did do some homework for 3GPP worker called NEF. Actually, they actually try to use pub/sub model. They can get cellular information or mobile network information or NFA related information. They can get the real-time information more efficiently. So we can separate this problem into two issues. One is how we can get the information put into the Alto server. The second is how frequently we can expose this information to the client. So I think in 3GPP they focus on the first part of the issue. They can using pub/sub mechanism, they can connect real-time information or some real-time statics information and feed it into the Alto server. So if we can have this assumption, we can provide this information to the client in more efficient ways. So I think that's my impression for this work. So I feel this proposal focus on the interface between all the client and all the server. They may complementary to what 3GPP is doing, and so probably so Chun-san, you should answer Martin's question how this work related to the 3GPP. Is there any liaison exchange or is there any feedback from 3GPP?
Yeah, I think that we should, start navigate the NEF without any liaison to the CPP, because from my understanding, NEF have defined a well open API to let the NEF client to subscribe the service. They can use the subscribe notification as request and response. For the subscribe notification, you can define one-time notification and a long time, and as a time of span, you can notify the status. If anything is changed, then you can you can notify back. Not need pull again. So they can notify, or you can define how long, how the frequency you can notify. For example, you can notify 10 milliseconds, even there's no changes, you can notify back. I think this have defined this a good mechanism, but I think main challenge is that some CPP does not provide very frequency change the parameters, because they also know this parameter or value will consume a lot of resource because they tend too frequently. It very consume a lot of resource. Also, they cannot provide very sensitive information because you cannot ask, please open. You can ask one person all the information. For example, you can ask his personal location, but only this request is allowed. For example, you have some SLA with the operator, then he can output this information to the requester.
Okay. I think we. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
And that was just that. So I'm sorry. I can't hear that.
We have an echo here.
We hear an echo.
That's way better.
Yeah, we can
All
hear
right.
you.
Okay.
Yes,
So
regarding the. Sorry. Yeah, Martin, go ahead.
okay, yeah. So my other question was, so I mean, like, if you're talking about, you know, gaming feed or any sort of feedback for adaptive bit rate, like, I mean, you know, there are obvious solutions to this that don't involve lots of intermediaries, like, you know, looking at congestion control signals, looking at direct user feedback from the gaming client, etc. Like, can someone sort of explain intuitively why this is, like, why this would have better dynamics than something more straightforward?
So, Martin, you're asking a question to Gang or asking to Chen or asking?
I'm anyone who thinks they can answer the question. I don't know.
Okay. So, Gang, you want to answer? Because I do have some comments.
I just I want to say something about the time granularity, right? So I think it's really depends on the demands from the application, right? If they, for example, if for the cloud gaming server, if the cloud gaming server want to change the data rate for seconds, right? Might be seconds level information might be very useful. I think from our experiment in our live network, we think the 6th level or even the 100 millisecond level sender information are quite useful for the application to adapt their logic, right, to improve the quality of the experience. So I think the 100 millisecond level or 6th level kind of fluctuation, I think it's not quite too refined compared with the single interaction between the 3G network. I think it is feasible to us for the Alto server to obtain those kind of information and distribute those kind of information to the Alto client. So I think it's doable, right, for us.
The question is, why would you not just use something like direct client feedback or you know, existing congestion signals in the network to do your API tuning?
Yes, so, that's a good question.
Yeah, can I try to answer this one? So very briefly share my opinion a little bit. Of course, maybe I'm jumping the queue, or maybe Lau. I think Lau or Gang want to answer, given that you guys are in the queue. But I do have some.
Yeah, I can answer that. So I think maybe, you know, we when we think about 3GPP, we also probably want to keep in mind a GSMA effort on operator platform called OPG. And so there, in that work, we've been looking at two things that are related, really, and I think can help answer the question here. And that is, regardless of how the information is acquired, the gaming server on the edge side or on the cloud side would like at-large information. We don't need in-band specific user feedback, but the gaming servers tend to require, for example, kind of a general information on the average CQI, really the average throughput, the average latency. that a device happens to be connected to, because the connection hasn't been established yet between the client and the server in this case. And so we're really looking for kind of that coarse grain type of information that we would expect from an Alto server. And then based upon that, before the game started, right, it's really that matchmaking design where it may look at multiple mobile clients and then make kind of an intelligent decision about the best location when there's multiple options or in many cases, multiple bad options on where to actually host the game in terms of the network placement. So that's one. So we have to remember that, this data really isn't known between the client and server right at the beginning. And so we're really needing kind of just some generalization based upon the location. The other thing I want to keep in mind is in 5G, there's a couple of huge changes. So one is that fixed wireless is now, a primary product. So when we say mobile nowadays, that we probably should really not use that term. It's kind of an old view. The other thing is in release 16, and it's some new documents, wireline convergence is now a part of the integration of the network. And so you can directly add what they call alternative or other access networks, such as GPON or DOCSIS networks directly into the 5G cores. We'll have to all kind of start shifting our thinking in terms of when we say a mobile network or we say a mobile core, what that is. From the point of view of the application servers, it makes no difference, right, as to what it's looking. So I think the granularity is not as big of a concern. In fact, I think 100 milliseconds, those sort of things may be overkill, at least from what we've seen in the ops, the GSNA OPG group, in terms of their needs. And I think really, what they're looking at the beginning really isn't any of that in-band work. So I hope that helps maybe answer some of the questions.
Oh, that helps a lot. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right. So, I really want to add just one thing very quickly. Martin, answer your question: why not directly client feedback? I think just one thing. I think that's what I heard from Yunfei, from Tencent people and China Mobile. We oftentimes the business relationship is between the network and the server. So therefore, the information basically really is flowing between, for example, Tencent is paying for the services and they want to see let's channel status themselves. They decide to pay or not. You really don't have to go through the client because they don't even know. That's basically somehow there's negotiation between the network and the application provider directly. So for example, that's one more, I don't know, that's slightly, just there are a couple of other reasons to talk about why not directly client feedback. I think that's one question you're asking as well, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, guys, I think we should move on to the next item. We are already way into the session, and as I mentioned before, 20 minutes before the end, I would like to start the wrap up. So I think we should move on to the next, charter item.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, can I ask a quick question? How much notes should I take about all these? They are not really working group action items, and should I try to catch all these questions?
That's a good question. That's a good question, Richard. I guess you should summarize the discussion if you can.
Okay.
I mean, this meeting is being recorded, so I think if somebody really wants to follow the technical discussion we just had, the recording is the best way to do that, right?
Right.
I guess for the notes, you can just summarize that there has been some technical discussion and some questions have been raised, why this is needed and what the advantages are.
Okay.
But you don't need to write all of them down in the notes. No.
Right. Yeah, because I was typing, so okay. Yeah. So okay, I see. I probably added shortly. Okay, great.
But I think this was good discussion. This is exactly what we want to have, that we have some, discussion about the pros and cons and why we would need such an extension. Next charter item, Sabine.
Sabine, are you there? Yeah. Can you see
hello?
my screen? Hello?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So shall we start with the proposed paragraph? I'm trying to read your slides directly. So what we propose is protocol extensions that convey a richer set and a richer and extensible set of additional attributes on Alto information that allows client to make more informed decisions that would be beyond simply the where and the when, as it is now. So these additional attributes will be related to both path cost. For example, we would have path cost values with attributes such as real-time network indications or policy attributes, which basically would be qualitative attributes. And these additional attributes would also be applied, associated to entities. For example, entity properties with attributes reflecting time dependency. So basically, the idea would be to go along the path costs, and also with qualitative attributes, and add extend properties to time dependent properties, more or less mimicking Alto cost calendars. So we would have property calendars. And then the working group, of course, will specify. These are like general so-called general extensions, because we feel that this is useful to not for the sake of having an extensions, but this will be useful for anybody in the working group that can be that will have use cases involving such features. And so this is why we will specify such extensions in coordination with both Alto working groups, group items, sorry, and also other IETF working groups that have a focus on the related use cases. And the scope of this extension is not limited to those identified by the working group items and then working groups, but also limited by the criteria set out below, which are the ones, the usual questions that are to be addressed within the working group in terms of, is it doable? Do we know whether we will have such indications? And questions such as these ones. So in the next, in the following slides, if you like, the following slides propose the use cases that were motivating these proposals, and but over which I can go upon your questions.
Okay, let's focus on the proposed charter work item text. So any comments on this proposed text?
So I have a question, Sabine. This is very, I mean, this at first it reads like the old charter text where we have now the cost calendar RFC. So is the main difference that you now also want to address paths, like in path vector?
Yes, indeed. This is done on purpose, because the idea of reusing as much as possible the text of the current charter was to say that there are further optimizations that are needed on this protocol. So it's a continuation of the previous optimizations that brought us, for example, the calendar, so decision on when to connect, that extended the endpoints to properties, that were allowing to define that they were extending endpoints to entities, in particular INEs that allow to detail particular parts of a path, but not only. And that also brought to path vector. So there are use cases that where it was clear that some additional details on the cost value could be necessary or useful. And by the way, I would like to comment on a feedback received by Luis. And so just to say that this proposal does not mean to be restrictive. And I agree, it should be a placeholder for other protocol optimizations that we might find necessary. In particular, upon making the examples in this slide set, I run again into that issue of the cross product. So it seems simple technically, but it is necessary because, for example, if you require a cost map, so you have first a set of sources and then a set of destination. I mean, that has been discussed and brought by Richard years ago, and so we only the current protocol. With the current protocol, so we just get the data on the cross products of source and destination. And given the recent publications by Ingmar, for example, on the deployment, the network map, and we saw it when we measure what is circulating on the network, when we measure the volume of a network, it gets huge very, very, very quickly. So whatever we can do to diminish the volume of exchange data is a good thing.
Yeah, I think a key use case for this proposed academy is for path vector. You know, we actually, you know, you may have multiple paths. You want to select the best path, and the limitation for existing path vector is it may doesn't describe some path constraint. You know, as you mentioned about you know, access type. You know, from which kind of access type you can select the connection path. You know. Or you may select a end-to-end path with some network performance requirements. So this proposal seems to me actually is you know, additional pieces we can add for the path vector.
Yeah, thanks. And also, if we go back, if we think about the first proposal on cell, actually that was a major use case that really motivated this proposal, because the use case was a cellular network. I presented, I think, this use case a couple of years ago when it really appeared, when we ran into it. The use case was an application on a mobile phone that was using an Alto client, and at that time, so we felt that we could, for example, for each video chunk, we could get Alto information for this video chunk every 2 seconds. But I mean, we did not need that frequency, but we could achieve up to this frequency. But anyway, the Alto information is by essence meant to be like maybe 30 second, 20 seconds, just for the sake of avoiding network instability. But still, it's quite long compared to the pace of network information that a cellular network can generate. And a cellular network can generate real-time indicator. And for this case, it was an indicator saying from 3GPP release 13 that was telling you whether unattended data is allowed or not. And it was like a Boolean. So, well, if it's not allowed, it means the connection is poor. If it's allowed, it means the connection is fine. So, of course, the Alto server cannot stand this dynamicity, this real-time dynamicity. But still, if we have the path cost given by Alto, which is like smooth, aggregated over time and space, and this path cost can be affected by this indicator that it's provided real time. So this can provide you, in a sense, a detail on the path cost, because, okay, you have the long-term Alto information like 30 seconds, which is long term for cellular network. And then you can always, if the Alto server says, okay, that's the cost, but if whatever, depending on the value of this indicator, well, this path cost, which would be normally 4, well, if it's not allowed, let's say it will be 3. Sorry, the cost will be higher, 5, and if it's allowed, okay, it can be say 3. So this is actually a way to combine the long-term information, like 20 or 30 seconds by the Alto server, with some real-time indicator that you get outside the Alto channel via a normal network channel.
So Seping, we a little bit run out of time, so maybe we.
Oh, sorry. So I stopped talking.
Thing.
Yes.
Okay. Can I give comments? I'm in the queue.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I do want to make one comment about this particular extension. So here's one use case which I'm always thinking, and I think that's also my comment we related with. I believe Martin asked 2 questions, right? 2 questions, right? 2 fundamental questions. One is the problem, and of course, typically, what's the problem and what's the issue trying to resolve? Typically, use case. And number 2 is feasibility, right? So do we really have a solution architecture, and can we reach a extensible set of attributes and so on? So I think my comment would be related with both. So what's the issue here? I think the way I look at what Sabine is proposing here is actually quite similar to an architecture, because we want to talk about architecture, feasibility. Is architecture of, let's say, for example, Prometheus, right? Prometheus, which is a very, very popular data measurement framework. I think a lot of networks, a lot of enterprise networks using this framework to collect data, process data, query data, and so on. And so basically for that data model, what you do is you have a metric, and then you have an unlimited key value store. Essentially, it's called attributes, and then of course you provide the data. I think that's a very nice architecture, can really address a lot of use cases. And for example, one use case or issue, maybe eventually for the long run, Alto would face is, for example, very simple one is you ask what's the performance. You ask what's the latency for this particular flow. And eventually, if anyone follows, let's say, IPPM for all the protocol, eventually it gets very, very ugly, and you become endless of specification of standards, and so therefore that's very, very difficult, because the latency could be which flow, HTTP2 and HTTP3 and quick, and what kind of traffic. And all these kind of attributes would go in eventually to really understand what the performance metric potential can be. So therefore become very messy system. And Prometheus solved the problem basically said, okay, here's a metric, here let me indicate essentially an open flexible key value store, and you can query and so on. So therefore, if we do this richer and extensible set of attributes, and we immediately would be able to introduce Prometheus capabilities into Alto framework, and therefore we have a very powerful, very reachable, extensible framework to solve a lot of issues. And also framework is already over there, which you can just call borrow. I think that's my comment. Why I buy this. I spent so much time with Sabine in the last couple of days on understanding the proposal.
Okay, that good comments. So maybe Sabine, you can take a look at that and see whether you can get useful input from there. So
Okay.
So let's move to the next new transport, and let me stop share.
Actually, I think the paragraph is not included in the slides, but in the Google Doc. So maybe.
Oh, okay. Let me switch to the. Okay. Go ahead.
Yep, I think that's the one. So I think for this research item, the motivation is relatively simple, and I think it based on the fact that we might be providing similar information to clients, so we might have more requirements on the performance of the auto service itself. So and as HTTP and also so HTTP2 is already an RFC, and HTTP3 is being developed as an RFC, but it's still in the progress. And I think they provide some features that can improve the performance of. First, they have some benefits over HTTP 1.x, which is used by Alto, and second, they can help eliminate some workarounds that we use in the current extension, such as path vector and equipment updates, and then might help simplify the protocol itself. And then the purpose of this item is to provide an alternative way to transport the auto information on top of HTTP2 and above. And yeah, basically that's it. And we basically need to specify how the servers and clients should exchange the information, and especially for path vector and increment updates. And then we might also introduce an extension to the IRD to allow clients and servers to kind of negotiate how they want to transport the auto information.
So thanks, Kai. So I have a quick question. You know, for path vector, you know, it actually use multi-part to return multiple responses. So multi-part messaging also is obviously has been widely used, and it can be used, built on top of this HTTP1. But can we use this, multi-part message in HTTP2? Also, it apply to for CDNI, draft. Actually, it reference SSE. You know, SSE is also widely used. Why? So it seems your proposal, you want to obsolete SSE or multi-part message. What do you think about that?
Yeah. For that part, maybe I actually include a figure in the slides. So, but let me try to describe them here. And I think one of the reasons we want to first answer the question. First, yes, if possible. So first, to answer the question, we can still use the current, for example, multi-part and SSE even on top of HTTP2, but that would basically not fully leverage the benefits of HTTP2, especially for the SSE part. So the SSE kind of multiplexes multiple resources into a single data stream, and so from the server's point of view, from the communications point of view, it's a single resource. And for the single, if you deliver a single resource over HTTP2, it basically will be considered as a single stream. And if you if you split the resources and treat every increment update for a single resource as a single stream, then there can be multiple streams delivering the data, and I think that could be more. I think that basically will give us some performance improvement. And also, I think one of the reasons we want to introduce this new transfer mechanism is it kind of avoids the need of like third-party libraries which support like multi-party and SSE. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so follow-up question, for encoding, so HTTP they're using binary encoding for header format and data format actually. So how do you see this actually for Alto-based protocol they use a JSON so you need to do the translation. So
no, actually, I think we're not going to introduce a new binary format of auto messages. We just basically like put the clear JSON text or the encrypted JSON text as a binary, and then the server or client could, for example, read the data directly from the binary object. Actually, if you go to the next slide, yep, this slide. So on the left-hand side is actually the JSON. Basically, it's a message for a multiple message for pass vector example, and on the right-hand side, actually it's not the same. I just basically I use a Python library to put these two messages into a single HTTP request, and here's what the data transfer from the server to the client would look like. First, they would exchange some settings frames, and then the server would send a push promise frame to the client, notifying that one of the resources delivered is going to be delivered to the client through stream ID 2, and then it returns the cost map part. Of course, the data here, I manually extract the JSON information from the binary format. But actually, when I was developing the library, the binary basically contains the same JSON text. So I think this wouldn't be a problem. Basically, the formatting of HTTP2.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for clarification. I think we still require some HTTP expert to verify this.
Yeah, of course.
Any other comments from the floor?
Actually, I think we should move on.
Okay.
I would like to start the wrap up in maybe 10 minutes.
So maybe for each remaining proposal for 5 minutes? Or?
Correct. That's a good idea. Yes.
Okay. So Rachel, it's your turn. Let me share. Rachel? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Yep. Okay.
Who's going to present?
So Richard,
Richard.
Richard, yeah. Richard, are you there?
You guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sure.
You got 5 minutes. We need to wrap up.
Yeah, I know. So I have 4 minutes left. Okay, so basically, I'm trying to say is multi-domain actually was designed to be very beginning, and Alto should support multi-domain. That's specified in RC 7971, and Qing, I think, quoted this standard, which is great. But what I want to argue is that the current Alto services actually don't really handle multi-domain very well, and there are quite a lot of documents talk about the issues. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, so this slide will actually illustrate the issues of multi-domain, and this is a slide actually made by Sebastian. I don't believe he joined today. That's early, and so on. It's kind of complex, timing, and so on. So basically, here is the current Alto would work. We have peer X here on left-hand side. We have a bunch of resources at peer 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, and current essential Alto protocol is only fully specified when the peer X can query the Alto server of first hop, essentially one of the hops. And then wouldn't be able to get information about ISP. For example, here, suppose, look at a simple case where the Alto server ISP1 would be neutral about peer 2A and peer 2B, and there's no way to really get those information. It's not specified at all. So therefore, actually from here, maybe ISP2 would prefer 2B or 2A, but there's no way to know about that. So therefore, basically, the protocol is relatively neutral and specified for only a single domain setting. Next slide, please. Okay. And so actually this turns out to be a major problem, because to answer the relevant question, would people be interested? Yes, of course. And on left-hand side here is a paper, the slides by steering the hypergiant traffic at scale. I believe one Connex-based paper, also the IRTF Applied Networking Prize. And one of the major issues we need to figure out, and we had a lot of discussions with Ingmar and Sebastian and so on, is you want to solve the issue of federated flow director, which is actually based on Alto and so on. And essentially, it's multi-ISP collaboration, how to really have multiple Alto servers. The right-hand side is LHC OPN, which core network. You can see that it has a lot of networks, and therefore you also will have a lot of Alto servers, how to handle the issue. The Alto really does not really give it a full specification. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, and what I want to say would be there. The discussion during the meetings was, would this really become a research problem or not? Actually, it's not. And just maybe 3 weeks ago, and during a weekly meeting, we did introduce a concept called Alto multi-domain abstractions. We did introduce quite a few very interesting abstractions and so on. So therefore, feasibility and architecture seem to be over there. Next slide, please. Just skip it. Give them time. And basically, and I can go back to one slide. So basically, what we propose would be, for this particular design only, we're now saying this must be the one, and to solve the issue multi-domain. And we need 2 extensions to Alto. One is segment discovery. Basically means, let's really discover the whole path from the given source to the destination if you span multiple domains. And we feel that this is a very interesting, good extension. And this extension even would be useful by itself. Essentially, somehow open the BGP interface would be very useful by itself. And then, of course, after you found the segments which Alto servers involved using some kind of chaining, and then you also would be able to discover extend Alto ECS and custom app services. Therefore, you can really discover all the whole vector. And then, of course, you can then also would extend Alto with multiple operation modes. For example, iterative, recursive, hybrid. For people who know DNS, is highly based on DNS, recursive, that require multiple servers and integrate multiple servers. And now, can you go to the next slide? Basically, I can go to the paragraph. Yeah, you can skip. You can skip. Milestones, and we probably don't need to say. And here is essentially the paragraph. So basically, what we want to do is extension of Alto services to support multi-domain settings. And clearly, the current Alto framework has made it clear how to provide information for a single server, for a single network. But devices might traverse multiple networks and not in the same domain. So therefore, we want to essentially extend 2 things. One is specify multi-Alto server protocol flow and user guidelines when Alto service involves network passes spanning multiple domains. And number 2, extend or introduce Alto services allowing east-west interfaces for multiple Alto servers to integrate and collaborate. That's the basic proposal. I think important issue and so on. And specification, of course, should reuse it whenever possible. And of course, you would always read the issue of incremental deployment, because multi-domains would have issue of incremental deployment. And then we must address the issue of dynamicity. Of course, we also must address the issue of security and privacy, because right now, always a major issue, even from very beginning, I believe the first issue always raised by AT&T and Comcast even very early on was, okay, and what if there are the other people wanted to claim to be the Alto server for my domain? So therefore, we want to address this issue. Yeah, that's a paragraph. I think I used up my time.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So any comments from floor? So, Richard, I think this I think it's very important, but also very challenging, because you discuss cross domain. For each domain may have one auto server. How for each domain they may owned by different operator. How you ask a different operator to work together to share the information.
Correct. So as a first step, I think our design, can you go back to the dummy design just very quickly? Excellent question. Go back slides. More. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I think you have to go forward. Yeah. Next. Yeah. Next. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean next slide. Okay. One more.
Okay. This one.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the simple extension. Next one. I think there's
okay.
Next one. Then you can
this
stop.
one.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So absolutely very, very good comment. And I think number one is by the way, clear that this is only a draft proposal. And so we clearly discarding audio service would be very difficult. So therefore, we thought one way to solve this issue would be using the trust of all the like a BGP or peer relationship already established among the domains. Therefore, if you look at this like the dummy design, and they can give us next pointers. They can even tell us if there's their black hole and how to even have next one. So therefore, to really discover audio like a server. So I think that's one way to address it. So therefore, and how they can work together, and to really answer that question is we want to have multiple operation modes. Iterative, for example, always collect all the information, and therefore the client will be essentially making the decision itself. We don't solve the issue. We only specify the mechanism, not the policies. So therefore, we only provide a mechanism to collect all the information, but we don't make decisions. And then, of course, we can run like a recursive or hybrid. Therefore, we can introduce essentially this like a proxy and framework, sort of automatic build. So therefore, we can specify the framework. So I think that's the way we want to solve it. Number one is give the complexity to the clients, but introduce a mechanism. And second one, at the same time, make it possible that the mechanism can also provide a solution, at least in initial setting. I don't know if I answer your question or not, but that's essential our current design.
Okay, thank you for clarification. So any other comments? So we can move to the last proposal. Jason, are you ready?
I think Luis as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and can you make it quick so that we have some time for wrap up, please?
Yeah. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So Luis, you are present, okay?
Yes, I'm actually. Should I go through them or Jensen? Maybe I can start. Maybe Jensen can complement. So we can go directly to the next slide and maybe stay there to the proposed.
Okay. Sorry, let me. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, that one. Maybe we can stay here and talk here. So essentially, the point here would be to document best practices and extensions for Alto in order to facilitate operational automation tasks. So it's true that there are already some best practice document and so, but from that point till now, there were newer Alto protocol extensions, the ones that we have discussed today, and some others, the cost calendar, unified properties, and so on and so forth. And also there are newer use cases that we are foreseeing, like the closed loop automation that could come from the ideas from Etsy CSM, or some other drafts that are available living drafts like the mobile edge computing or multi-access edge computing capabilities, and so on so far. All of these, so both protocol extensions and new use cases, could require additional consideration. So this would be one of the topics to consider here. What could be those considerations to take into account? Well, decisions on information resources post, notification of changes, either in proactive or reactive mode. I mean, the interaction with the application, and so to deploy, to develop new capabilities from Alto for working in those different modes. Aggregation processing of the collected information. So to what extent we need to aggregate the information collected and exposed in a certain manner, etc., etc. So this will be one of the sides of the proposal. The other side is to consider as well the newer Alto services could require more interaction with applications in order to help in the aforementioned automation of operations. So essentially, I'm summarizing, not taking more time. So the working group, the idea will be to propose to investigate the best practices in Alto operation automation, including, as mentioned before, the newer extensions and also the newer use cases. And secondly, to propose new protocol extensions to allow applications to better express needs in such a way that this could be hints for Alto to process the information, to aggregate the information, and to interact and to accommodate essentially to the needs of the applications. And I think that we can stop here for this, I guess.
Yeah, so thanks, Luis, and good presentation, actually. So my very curious, so how fast we can get the data from SAS-bound interface, actually. I think this may relate to this proposal. And also for the second, actually, I think you want to propose a new protocol for some extension. I think maybe, maybe you only focus on like service edge computing, service discovery, or what kind of protocol extension you expect there for this?
This will be one of them. At least this is on ongoing work. There are some drafts, a couple of drafts on that. And regarding the refreshment of the information, clearly we have dependencies on the protocols and the mechanisms that we do foresee for that. For instance, going directly to the point of the compute edge case, if we leverage on BGPA mechanisms for that, for sure we have the dependency of the timing of these of the dates of BGP. So we have discussed several times this in the weekly calls to have a clear idea what could be, let's say, the speed, let's say, that in which we can refresh and collect the information. This is a topic to be analyzed, but we already have work in that direction of having clear that there will be some dependencies, and this will questions, or not question, but would influence the speed in which we can provide the information. But as mentioned before by Sabine, probably we would not consider Alto for something real time, at least yet in this space. So we could, I think we could live with that timings by now. This was one question, and the other, Chin, I forgot the other question was, what was?
So for second, you propose a new protocol extension. I'm just wondering whether you target to like a service edge, service discovery cases.
Yes,
you want to propose some extension.
Yeah, let's say that this is dual in the sense that once you have newer capabilities, for instance, the identification of compute environments into the network, you need also to enable ways for the application to ask for it. So somehow you have to consider as an extension, how do you collect the information, and also how do you expose that information, how the applications could ask for that. So it will be, let's say, dual. Yeah, in this slide, for instance, you can see So there would be some way of collecting the computing information, the computing edge information. This could be, for instance, there is some proposition in this working group for doing that as an extension of the TE topology model. So we could retrieve the data center information, maybe in the form of these bundles, as in the case of CNTT, or either the raw information about the CPU and all of that. And also consider Alto server as the way of let's say, processing this information together with the topological information from the network, collecting from BGP, such a way that we could offer both the view of the data center plus the view of the transport network all together in such a way that we could allow applications on top of that to make the better decision for deploying applications or instantiating services or whatever.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luis, for the comments, and it's good that we had some discussion. Yeah, so I think we need to wrap up. Yeah, so this is what we had not planned or discussed, how we go forward from here. I think we had good discussions, and I think personally we heard good arguments for all of these extensions. Martin, is it common to take hums on support for each of these charter items, or what is a proper or common way to move forward in this situation?
We could do a show of hands, I suppose, for each of the. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would first maybe ask: do people feel like they understand these enough to discuss?
I guess you're right. That's
the first question to have. Or do we need to discuss? Like, do we need to have more discussion on these on the list, or are people like ready to vote now because everybody has their opinion set? I think that would be good to know.
Good question. So yeah, comments. So for me personally, I think. Speaking now not as chair, but personally, I think most of these extensions were pretty clear, or at least charter items, I should say. And I think the text is already in somewhat good shape. But that's my personal opinion. Others may want to speak up.
Yeah, my opinion actually, I did follow the, some of the discussion in the design team, and this make me better understanding what they want to propose. And I think for cellular network proposal and general extension, they seem to have some overlapping because as Sabine mentioned, they may cover some wireless network, mobile network cases. So this need to be consolidated. And also for operation automation, actually, as Luis present, actually, they also cover service edge discovery, which also mixed with general extension. So this need to be sort out how to have clear boundary between each other. So for other two proposals, yeah, I want to see what other people think about that.
Yes, other comments? Richard, go ahead. Richard, do we need to...
We can't hear you, Richard.
Muted. Okay, so number one, what I want to say was all these 5 use cases and what 5 extensions, they will all involve a lot of weekly discussions. And so basically, I think these 5 were among the many choices, like relatively well understood. So therefore, I think that's why personally I want to support all 5 extensions. And of course, I do agree with Qing's comment that there looks like some overlapping need to be clarified, some like a better delineation of the boundary. So among some, for example, I do buy that. And if I really have to pick, and I personally think, for example, the cellular is incredibly important extension, which actually would give us a very good opportunity from IETF typically is tended to slightly stay about layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, and now really abstract all the information and work together with 3GPP on layer 2 and so on. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. We definitely should, for example, support the cellular network and so on. So if we really have to only pick 3 and so on, at least I would personally vote, for example, cellular, because that's such an important use case and such a good opportunity. So those are just my quick comments.
I have an additional thought actually. I think based on Alto protocol actually, they design originally designed for the P2P application, CDN application. Now actually we see many people talk about 5G and edge computing, and they could be the big driver for us to extend Alto protocol. But we see a lot of many proposals distributed in other working groups. So what I like to really want to see is Alto working group can have good collaboration with other working group, or some problems in other directions, so we can build a synergy for this.
Great. Notes. I think Luis, Sabine are in the queue.
Yeah, I would like that simply to comment maybe a way of avoiding overlappings or mixing things. Maybe it could be to look at the putting Alto server as a central point, and maybe considering one could be, let's say, what could be the mechanisms for feeding Alto server with information. What would be the mechanisms for exposing that information to applications? And so basically the let's say the northbound interface, the southbound interface, and maybe the east-west interface could be also an angle to look at. We have discussed also in the past in that way. So maybe in that way also could seem, let's say, make the avoid two overlaps, basically. Just my thought.
Yeah, Luis, you have good comments. For feeding interface, right now we seem to leave this out of scope. We think we make an assumption. All the server will connect all the information intelligently, smartly. So that's why operation automation. They may target to address this issue, to automate to get all the information. So.
Sabine, I think you're in the queue.
Okay. I am also hesitant if I had to choose. I think it is for me the fact that there is overlaps is a good thing, because this means there is also synergy. And yes, indeed, the purpose of general extension was really to reach out to other working group items. And for example, an extension, so cost attributes, they are definitely useful for cellular use cases, but they may also be useful for other use cases that are mentioned, for example, that were mentioned by Luis in one of his drafts. So it is kind of, I think it's a good thing that to have like a placeholder on extensions, and maybe motivated by other people working on other working group items in Alto.
Okay, so we have just a couple more minutes left. The question is, do we want to do a quick show of hands for the items, or?
Sorry, it's me again. Sorry, Jan. Yes, actually, I also wanted to add that I think to better understand possible synergies and then that could be consolidated in the proposals. I think maybe it would be interesting for each person to carefully take a look at the slides, at the related material, for example, if drafts have already been written, and maybe have a round of discussions among the people involved in these proposals to see how they can consolidate and to make sure everybody got the point of everybody.
I'm not sure what your proposal is, to have further discussions in the design team meetings and on the mailing list.
Yeah, to take the time to leave some time to yes, for everybody to take a closer look at the proposals.
Sabine, so that is not what we are debating at all here. So for sure we're gonna have further discussions on the mailing list, and we are not making any decisions here right now. What we can make, however, in the remaining 2-3 minutes that we have, is have a consensus, or try to find a like Martin said, a show of hands on what is the current status quo. What are people thinking of the charter items on the table? We are not we're not making any decisions, and further confinement is necessary. That's totally clear.
Yeah. So
I agree.
Sure. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, sorry, it's slightly different from, I think like more discussion oftentimes means delay 1 or 3 more months. That's probably a horrible thing. And if possible, let's make a decision soon, because they're already designing, getting started and so on, already like a momentum. Let's discuss a little bit more. For basically means we miss the meeting today, we probably wait for 3 more months or 4 more months.
Right. So I guess we're getting close to the end of the session. Martin, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not sure how effective having a show of hands on 5 different things is going to be in 30 seconds or whatever we have.
All right.
I mean, you could. My advice would be to have somebody, whether it be a chair or somebody like Richard or really anyone else, maybe have some informal discussions and see if there is a proposal for, like, about 1 to 2 years of work built out of these five proposals, and then do a consensus call on that, rather than just kind of have a completely open-ended
I agree with Martin. Actually, we can begin to prepare the charter, how to consolidate all these proposals together to document the charter, have a strawberry proposal, and actually, so we can have a meeting to discuss this. And but I think definitely I think we can prepare these charter text.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it needs to take a long time, but we're not going to have time for like a lot of people to come up on the mic and sort of say what they want. So maybe an offline way, like a not in a meeting way, is a good way to kind of gauge what people think. So the other thing I wanted to say is I'm not an Alto practitioner, so I don't have a ton of insider opinion on where we should go with any of these. Some of them sound harder to me than others. But if everyone sort of wants to do everything, which is kind of what I'm hearing, and it's sort of being forced to choose, some of these are probably much shorter than others. And picking up the short, having a rechartering and doing a couple things that can wrap up in 6 months or a year, and then moving to the harder things, is a way to keep everyone engaged. Whereas if you like pick the hard things and that drags on for 4 years or something because there's conflicts and people can't reach consensus and there are hard problems, then the people with easy problems are going to go away. So all else being equal, I might recommend that as a strategy on how to organize this. But obviously, the consensus of the group is more important than that advice.
No, but for sure that's good advice. Also to take into
Excellent.
consideration that these items are different in the time they need. Time that we need. I think we should close. I think I agree with what basically Chin and Martin just agreed to. We should take this offline and have some people lead this. I think Chin and Richard are probably
I propose
candidates.
actually Richard and me can we
Yes,
can
right.
see how to propose this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That I would like to volunteer, and of course with Qing as the chair, and of course work with everyone, and then we can give a proposal probably within a couple of weeks max, and then probably we can prioritize according to the time frame, and which one shorter, which one easier, rearrange a little bit, and definitely personally I really want to get the proposal to Martin's table, and yeah. Definitely, Qing and we'll get his guidance. I'll work with him, so we'll get a proposal done soon.
Sounds very good to me. I think this is a good agreement. Yeah, I think we can close. Martin is in the queue. Any last words, Martin? You wanted to add?
But yeah, sure. So hopefully, like in order a month or two, like we're able to reach some sort of consensus, and then bring that consensus to me. We could wordsmith the charter and then get it through the process. Thanks, everybody.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks everybody. So we close. Yeah, I wish you all good time until the next ITF meeting. Whether I'm sure it's going to be a virtual one again. And yeah, we're going to have lots of discussions on the mailing list. And Vijay and I will take mostly care of finishing the current milestones, and Chin can help a lot, Richard and others with the new charter. I think this is kind of the way we as chairs support the current and future work. Chin, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think that's my top priority work to have a concrete proposal and bring this proposal to the Martin table, and we can see whether we can recharter this. I hope it can be finished before the next IT meeting. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody. And yeah, I think we close this meeting, and see you next time. And yeah, we'll see you on the mailing list.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Martin.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, James. Bye-bye.
Cool. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.